Hey everybody, it's Bob Murphy here. In this video, I want to just remind Americans of where we stand in terms of our government's foreign policy and domestic civil liberties. Now, let me stress at the outset, these areas are by no means my specialty. If I have a specialty, it's economics with a minor in karaoke. So if I had my druthers in a perfect world, that's all I would be doing, is cranking out videos talking about economic policy, economic theory, and then the occasional Ricky Nelson song. But I feel as if the most important thing for me to do right now, even though it's not my specialty, is to make the present video, because I'm getting the sense that a lot of Americans, even though they're vaguely aware of what's going on, they're so busy in their day-to-day life that they haven't just stopped to really let it sink in. So the way maybe I can motivate this is to say, for those of you who are old enough, think back to the 1980s when the Soviet Union was still a dominant global superpower and the United States was locked into the Cold War. I mean, it had thawed a little bit, but it was still basically the U.S. was standing up for freedom around the world against the evil Soviet Empire, right? You had movies like Top Gun, okay? Right into the danger zone. Yeah, right? Get you all fired up to go blow up some MiGs, because that's a blow for freedom against those evil commies trying to take over the world. Can you imagine them? They're just resting their power on military might. They don't have any kind of rule of law or anything like that, okay? So, what if you grabbed such a person, and that would have been me back in the 80s, and said, listen, I'm going to tell you something. 20 years from now, this is what the world's going to be like. There's only going to be one global superpower left. And that global superpower is going to have its troops stationed around the world, occupying many countries. And it's going to have a global surveillance network. It's going to have a network of secret prisons by which its intelligence agencies interrogates people and tortures them. Depending on the particular year you pick, it will spend more on its military than the rest of the world combined. Furthermore, the ruler of this particular country is going to be developing a fleet of flying killer robots. And the ruler is going to tell his people that he has the legal authority to kill anyone on planet Earth without a trial, and even after the fact, he doesn't need to show any evidence as to why he took this decision. Now, what would be your reaction if you were a good conservative Republican, let's say, as I would have been, back in the 1980s, and you heard that? My reaction would have been, the Soviets won? How did they defeat us? I mean, Ronnie's building up our military. I don't understand. I bet it was those liberal Democrats. They cut our defense budget, and that's how those dirty commies must have had a sneak attack or something, and that's the only way 20 years from now they're ruling the world in the fashion you just described. What a horrible dystopian picture you just painted of the future. All right? It would have been inconceivable if you had asked me, and I'm sure the people watching this video, in the 1980s, it would have been inconceivable to entertain the idea that the description I just gave would be applicable to the United States of America. And why? Not because it would have been impossible for some individual in the United States to want to wield such power over his fellow Americans and other earthlings. Of course, the U.S. is a big place. It could have produced somebody with that kind of mentality. But what would have been inconceivable is that the American people would have realized what was going on. Their leader can't develop a fleet of flying killer robots and announce to the world, I have the legal authority to kill any human being I want with no trial, just based on my internal say-so. It would have been inconceivable. The American people would have been okay with that. So that's really why I would have said, no, that's impossible. It can't possibly be describing the United States 20 years from now. You're nuts. Okay, well, our source was the New York Times. New York Times, if I had had more leeway, I would have gotten the actual newsprint version of it. But does anyone even read those things anymore? May 29th, 2012. I'll put all the links for this in the YouTube information if you want to see it yourself. Title of the article, run in the New York Times. Secret kill list proves a test of Obama's principles and will. So I'm just going to go through this and read you some key excerpts. Mr. Obama has placed himself at the helm of a top-secret nominations process to designate terrorists for kill or capture, of which the capture part has become largely theoretical. It is the strangest of bureaucratic rituals. Every week or so, more than 100 members of the government's sprawling national security apparatus gather, by secure video teleconference, to pore over terrorist suspects' biographies and recommend to the president who should be the next to die. This secret nominations process is an invention of the Obama administration, a grim debating society that vets the PowerPoint slides bearing the names, aliases, and life stories of suspected members of al-Qaeda's branch in Yemen or its allies in Somalia's Shabab militia. Yet the administration's very success at killing terrorism suspects has been shadowed by a suspicion that Mr. Obama has avoided the complications of detention by deciding, in effect, to take no prisoners alive. While scores of suspects have been killed under Mr. Obama, only one has been taken into American custody, and the president has balked at adding new prisoners to Guantanamo. And on this, I might mispronounce some of these names. On that front, perhaps no case would test Mr. Obama's principles as starkly as that of Anwar al-Awlaki, an American-born cleric and Qaeda propagandist hiding in Yemen. Mr. al-Awlaki's calls for more attacks presented Mr. Obama with an urgent question. Could he order the targeted killing of an American citizen in a country with which the United States was not at war, in secret and without the benefit of a trial? Let's see. The Justice Department's Office of Legal Counsel prepared a lengthy memo justifying that extraordinary step. Again, the extraordinary step, in case you missed it, could Mr. Obama order the targeted killing of an American citizen in a country with which the United States was not at war, in secret and without the benefit of a trial? That's the issue. So the Justice Department is now saying this. That extraordinary step is justified, asserting that while the Fifth Amendment's guarantee of due process applied, it could be satisfied by internal deliberations in the executive branch. Okay? So yeah, an American citizen abroad still has the Fifth Amendment applying, so you need due process before you kill him. But that doesn't mean you need a trial. It just means the administration has to confer and say, is it okay for us to blow up this guy? Yep. You think so? Everyone? Okay, we're all good? We're going to go kill this guy? Okay. And that's the due process. Mr. Obama gave his approval, and Mr. al-Awlaki was killed in September 2011, along with a fellow propagandist, Samir Khan, an American citizen who was not on the target list, but was traveling with him. So another American citizen died, who wasn't even on the kill list. Again, that term kill list is not something I'm making up. That is in the title of the New York Times story, that the president has a kill list. In the wake of Mr. al-Awlaki's death, some administration officials, including the Attorney General, argued that the Justice Department's legal memo should be made public. In 2009, after all, Mr. Obama had released Bush administration legal opinions on interrogation over the vociferous objections of 6 former CIA directors. This time, contemplating his own secrets, he chose to keep the al-Awlaki opinions secret. Okay, so the Obama administration is not even releasing the memo outlining its own interpretation of why it has the legal authority to kill American citizens with no trial. Right? Not only are they going to refuse to give the particular evidence for a particular case to explain why they think this person had to die, they're not even going to release their own internal memo that explained the legal justification for this whole system, because to do so would give aid and comfort to the enemy, presumably, for the enemy to understand the legal grounds upon which we were blowing up their members with flying killer robots. Okay, let's move on. This is from Time. The title of the article is Europe Rights Court to Hear of Secret CIA Prisons. This is from December 3rd, 2013. The secret network of black site prisons across Europe that the CIA used to interrogate terror suspects is getting a rare public hearing Tuesday at Europe's Human Rights Court. Lawyers for 2 terror suspects currently held by the U.S. in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, accuse Poland of human rights abuses. They say they fell victim to the CIA's program to kidnap terror suspects and transfer them to third countries, and allege they were tortured in a remote Polish prison. And it goes on to list the allegations of these particular people. At least one of whom has never been charged with a crime. Okay, so these people were abducted, flown somewhere. They claim they were tortured, and they were never even charged with anything. The CIA has never said where the black sites were based, but intelligence officials, aviation reports, and human rights groups say they included Afghanistan and Thailand, as well as Poland, Lithuania, and Romania. Note, the CIA is not denying that there were secret prisons that they operated in foreign countries where they would interrogate suspects. Okay, they're just not divulging where they were located. Don't worry though, everybody, we're safe, because the last sentence in this article from Time. All the prisons were closed by May 2006. Interrogations at sea have replaced CIA black sites as the U.S. government's preferred method for holding suspected terrorists and questioning them without access to lawyers. So if you happen to be kidnapped by U.S. intelligence forces, you can rest assured that you're not going to now be in a foreign country in a secret prison operated by the CIA. Instead, you will be on some sort of U.S. naval vessel at sea, where you will be presumably vigorously questioned without a lawyer. Okay, I got 2 more for you guys. You might say, well, okay, but you know what? I'm not a Muslim terrorist living in Afghanistan. This doesn't really bother me. They shouldn't have attacked us if they didn't want to get hit back this hard. Maybe your opinion, something like that. Well, it's coming back home. Make no mistake. This is from The Hill. So this is like the go-to news organization that reports on issues pertaining to Capitol Hill in the United States, domestic policy. This is June 6, 2013. The title of the article is House Votes to Delay Bulk Ammunition Purchases by DHS. The House late Wednesday voted to stop the Department of Homeland Security from entering into new contracts to buy millions of rounds of ammunition until the Department of Homeland Security reports to Congress on the need for the ammo and its cost. Representative Mark Meadows proposed an amendment to the DHS spending bill for 2014 that would require the report to Congress before it can pursue plans to buy 1.1 billion rounds of ammunition. This is not for the Army. This is not for the Marines. This is not even for the National Guard. This is for the Department of Homeland Security has plans to buy over 1 billion rounds of ammunition. And so this particular congressperson, Mark Meadows, was saying, whoa, before you go ahead and do that, you need to explain to Congress, give us a report explaining why you need so much ammo. Okay, but don't worry, we have that explanation. Representative John Carter, Republican from Texas, said the amendment was unnecessary based on his talks with DHS officials. They explained the situation. Let's see what they said. Carter said the department has since admitted that its ammunition needs are not as great at first reported. Ready? And said the department is pursuing a bulk purchase to keep the costs down. So don't worry, everyone. There's a lot of people freaking out about the DHS buying over 1 billion rounds of ammunition. Some people are getting all paranoid. But don't worry, they're just doing it as the federal government is wont to do when it buys weaponry to keep costs down. That's why they're buying so much ammo, because you get a better price that way. Nothing to worry about. Crazy Tea Party nut jobs. Okay, last one for you guys. This is from Fox News, but it's an AP story. And you can Google this if you don't trust Fox News, and I understand if you don't. But this is an AP story. It's all over the place. Plenty of outlets pick this up. Okay. The title, this ran on November 24th, 2013, and the title is The Spoils of War. Sheriffs, police nationwide getting armored vehicles left over from Iraq. Coming soon to your local sheriff, 18-ton armor-protected military fighting vehicles with gun turrets and bulletproof glass that were once the U.S. answer to roadside bombs during the Iraq War. The hulking vehicles, built for about $500,000 each at the height of the war, are among the biggest pieces of equipment that the Defense Department is giving to law enforcement agencies under a national military surplus program. For police and sheriff's departments, which have scooped up 165 of the mine-resistant, ambush-protected vehicles, or MRAPs, if that's the way they pronounce that, I don't know how they pronounce that acronym. Since they became available this summer, the price and the ability to deliver shock and awe, we're not talking about Afghanistan or Iraq, delivering shock and awe in U.S. towns with vehicles that were used in the Middle East by the military are now being given to local law enforcement in the United States to be used against United States citizens. And they're using the term shock and awe in this AP report to describe what they're getting ready to be able to do to you. While serving warrants or dealing with hostage standoffs was just too good to pass up. Listen to this. This is going to be a quote from a sheriff. "It's armored, it's heavy, it's intimidating, and it's free," said Albany County Sheriff Craig Apple among 5 county sheriff's departments and 3 other police agencies in New York that have taken delivery of an MRAP. And again, MRAP, if that's the way they pronounce it, stands for Mine Resistant Ambush Protected Vehicles. Okay, well, I think you get the point. There are several disturbing trends, but I think, let me just end with a statement that we all actually know is true, but let me just say it out loud again. Right now, the President of the United States, and it has nothing to do with it being Obama, it would have been, had Romney been elected, he would have had the exact same policies, plus or minus 2% in either direction. So this isn't a Democrat thing. But right now, the President of the United States is actively developing a huge fleet of flying killer robots to be deployed all over planet Earth in conjunction with an intelligence network that is monitoring everyone all over Earth. And we keep learning more and more about just how extensive its surveillance is and spying on everybody, including American citizens. And he maintains that he has the legal authority to kill anyone that his administration determines is a threat to the United States. And not only does he not need to get permission, not only does he not have to ask for forgiveness after the fact, he doesn't even have to tell us the legal justification by which they're doing that. The original memo they wanted to sit on and not release it on grounds of national security. All right, now, again, I'm not an expert in this stuff. Perhaps the nuances have changed a little bit. I've been reading from some dated articles. Maybe someone's going to post like, oh, no, this was over. But give me a break, okay? The President of the U.S. has at his command now flying killer robots that he can use to blow up anybody he decides is a threat to the United States government. Okay? Something is seriously wrong here. Oh, by the way, he won the Nobel Peace Prize. Hello, McFly. Okay, I guess I'll just stop there. If somebody had written this up in the 1980s and told you this was going to be our reality in the United States 20 years hence, the person would have been considered crazy, and you would have said, if you're going to write fiction, at least make it plausible. And I would have said the same thing. Well, thanks everybody. This has been Bob Murphy, and hopefully I'll return to karaoke videos.